Welcome back, everyone, to another one of these early morning vlogs. Yes, it is morning, apparently. Should be 4 or 5 a.m. by now. Anyways, now, I was just plodding along, and suddenly I felt like talking about this. Oh, it's so bright, isn't it? I felt like talking about this old series idea I had back then. I was listening to the soundtrack for World of Goo 2, and then, I was imagining a little intro for it. Let me just tell you what the series is called. I'm not going to be working on it for a while, but I might as well talk about it just for the hell of it. I came up with the title just a few minutes ago. I called it, Dufresne and the Isles of Suffering. Let me explain what the show is about, or series, whatever. It was heavily inspired by Thurip Van Orman's Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. In case you haven't heard of that show, I don't blame you. It's a pretty old show. I don't think it was even around for that long. But, anyways, if you haven't seen it, the main synopsis of the show is it's about this orphaned kid named Flapjack who lives with this whale and this pirate. And, they basically just get up to random adventures, but I don't want to bother harping on this. So here's what Dufresne and the Isle of Suffering is about. Okay, so it all starts with this guy who's about, I don't know, I guess about my age, who's working at this inn, and he works there as a sort of janitor, and he freaking hates it. I mean, who wouldn't? And, hold on. For his whole life, he's always kind of hated that job, and he thinks, you know what, screw this. I want to be a pirate. I want to leave all this crap behind. So then he goes up to his mom and demands that, because apparently his mom kind of owns the place, so she kind of just lets him live there for free, but she doesn't pay him. Anyways, he demands that she pay him so that he can save up for a boat and get the hell out of there. But mom isn't hearing any of it. She says, okay, you know what? If you want to save up for a job, if you want to save up for a boat, then how about you move the hell out of my inn, go get another job, and then pay for a boat with somebody else's money. Dufresne kind of misinterprets some of this. Most importantly, the pay for a boat with somebody else's money thing. So what he does is he very sneakily moves into somebody else's house, and, I guess he just kind of steals stuff from them in the night. Just imagine living with somebody, but they have no idea that you're even there, and you just occasionally take stuff from them. So, every night, he discreetly steals stuff from this one family that he doesn't even know. And then by the time he has enough money, he immediately gets the hell out of Dodge, and he even leaves a note that says, thanks for the grub and the money. Now, but I'll be off then. And to this day, that family still has no idea who the hell left that note. Anyways, Dufresne uses all the money that he saved up, and all he can afford is a crappy dinghy. No oar, no sunblock, no sail or rudder or anything. Just a random dinghy. Well, he decides, you know what, screw it, if this is all I can afford, whatever. So, he hops into the boat, and off he goes. But, let's just say the journey isn't at all what he was hoping for. He's out, he eventually makes it out to sea, but he's out there for days. Days, dude. And he eventually gets lots of sunburn, and he's hungry, and, he's desperately thirsty, so he tries drinking seawater, but, well, that just makes things worse. After, weeks of being out there, he tries to paddle his way home, but the thing is, Dufresne had no idea which way was home, because the ocean's too fucking big. And, and while he's paddling, he feels something latch onto his arm. He lifts his right arm out of the water and realizes a little Gisconius is eating it. If you don't know what a Gisconius is, it's kind of like a sea monster that mimics an island. I'm not sure if that's a species or a category, but whatever. Point is, a young sea monster just bites one of his arms off, and now he's left-handed. So he tries paddling with that arm, but to no avail. After a while, he just kind of passes out from blood loss. But then his dinghy kind of bumps against a pier, and he desperately tries to climb up one of the pier things. How does he do that? I don't know. I imagine he would probably like gnaw the surface of the pier while hooking his legs around it, kind of like a lumberjack, I guess. And then he shimmies his way up, and then he just plops onto the deck. And there's like two people towering over him. He can barely make them out because he's lacking blood. He's exhausted. He's riddled with like full body sunburns, and he's just completely delusional. He's like half dead at this point. So he passes out. But then the next thing he knows, he wakes up and he has water splashed onto his face. Drinkable water, mind you. And now he's got wooden arms, courtesy of one of the people that found him earlier. In front of him are two people. One of them is a woman named Allison, and the other one is her nephew, Perry. And, Allison is really good at wood carving, so she carved those arms for Defreen out of pity. Meanwhile, Perry was kind of the one that splashed the water on him. So they bring him some food and some beer, and he desperately guzzles it all down, because there's no telling how long he was really out there without food or water. So they ask him who he is and where the hell he came from, and he's about to tell them that he's actually lost, and that he kind of just drifted away from home. But then he decides, wait a minute, I think at this point I actually look like a genuine captain, with like scars and sunburns, not to mention the wooden limbs. So he decides, I actually came here after my crew was murdered, and okay. So here's the story he made up. Now, according to Defreen, his real origins are this, apparently. So years before he ended up on the deck, he used to be this obscure pirate who would murder people and take their gold. I mean, what pirate doesn't do that? And but then, after a run-in with this other crew named the Crimson Sparrows, I just made that up. I just made that name up on the spot, to be honest. And apparently they killed his crew. They took all his stuff, and instead of killing him right then and there, they decided to just push him overboard and just, eventually he got a hold of a dinghy and just swam away and just rowed away as fast as he could. And I guess the rest of it is, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, okay, the real story, actual real story, while he was drifting out on the dinghy, apparently, after he drank seawater, what the hell is that noise? Well, anyways, a fun fact, after he drank seawater, he kind of went nuts and just started rambling to a random sea turtle, thinking that it was the reincarnated ghost of his grandma. That day, a sea turtle had a very interesting story to tell her friends. Anyways, back to the made-up story. Defreen claims that his crew was murdered by these other pirates, and so he was forced to try and reconcile somewhere else. That's not right. Refuge. I meant to say refuge. What is that? I'll stay out of that. So that's... Okay, now, as for the premise of the show, Defreen basically just goes on these random adventures alongside Perry and Allison. Because, he wanted to be a pirate, so he's gonna live like one. So I like to imagine that after they took him in, Allison, what the fuck's the word? Insists, that's it. Allison insists that, that Defreen take it easy and just stay at the inn for a few days. And if he wants to stay, then he's gonna have to work for it, even though he's literally handicapped. I kind of came up with this story like a few years ago, so it's a little flawed here and there. But anyways, Allison tells him that if he wants to stay, then he's gonna have to work. If he wants to leave, then, he can. So then, one day, Defreen gets an idea. Okay, what if I just stole a boat, a better boat, and I took Perry with me as my first mate or something? Is that the right word? First mate? Like, like an assistant or something. Whatever. Moving on. So Dufresne leaves the inn one day, with Perry beside him, and tells him, "Okay, kid, I'm gonna try to go on a huge adventure to get my crew back, and I need your help with that. So me and you are gonna go steal a boat, as well as some other stuff like clothes and whatnot." So he tells Perry to stay right there and keep a lookout for anybody, because right now they're by this huge deck with all these huge boats and fishing barges and whatnot. And he just wants Perry to keep a lookout. So Dufresne picks out this really huge boat, and he's not very discreet about it. Like, as soon as he notices several people aboard the ship, he kicks them overboard and then he grabs Perry by the arm and just drags him on board. Immediately cuts the line, and boom, they're off. And while they're aboard the ship, Dufresne rummages through the ship for any clothes or supplies or anything. He eventually finds this taxidermized squid, rips its eyes out, and he also finds this, I forget what they call it, those pirate hats? I forget what they're called, but he finds one of those, and he stitches the eyeballs on there, thinking that it'll make the hat look more imposing. And then, he finds some, fountain pens and just draws some random, crude tattoos on his belly and his arms. Or at least what's left of his arms, aside from the wooden parts. I just realized there's 2 people jogging over there. Morning. Those people actually fucking scared me, I'm not gonna lie. It's not even spooky season yet. Well, spooky month, that is. Well, anyways. Now here's... Okay. Now that I told you the origins of the series, here's how the actual series would go. Dufresne basically just explores the rest of the ocean, doing whatever the hell he wants. Again, just being I guess just imagine Rick and Morty, but if it was in a nautical setting. The entire time... Hold on, let me think. I imagine that there'd just be some standard adventure-y aspects. Like maybe they come across some sea monsters, or... I guess it would be like a mix between Rick and Morty and Indiana Jones and Flapjack. That's just off the top of my head, though. Again, never really thought about fully fleshing it out, other than the backstories, I guess. Okay, I think that's all I got. Could I talk about the Eververse again? No, I'm not sure. I think I've said enough, but actually, okay, one thing I want to say about the Eververse right now. I came up with this idea a couple days ago. What if there was a special assortment of people that got these visions or nightmares of what's to come when it comes to the Eververse? Now, these people are getting visions that one day these huge rifts and these tears in space-time will just open up in their dimensions. And not just this one, but like all of them. Like every single one that's neighboring the Eververse. And everything in the Eververse is gonna like leak out into those different worlds. And kind of like infest it with its madness. And I kind of got the idea from, the guys with the tinfoil hats from that one Futurama movie, The Wild Green Yonder. What's that smell? I don't like that smell. Okay, well let's just go. Anyways, the reason why these visions hit these guys specifically is because, well, no real reason. It's kind of random, but I like to imagine that it would only affect people with the best imaginations, or it would at least affect the most, somewhat eccentric people. As for how they would stop it, I'm not sure, but I imagine they would try to sort of astral project themselves, or maybe they would teach themselves to be psychics or something. Then they would use that to try and communicate with the platoon. Because the thing is, the Platoon are actually really aloof. They actually have no idea about... Because the thing is, the Eververse is forever expanding, right? But the thing is, every now and then, let's just say, it's not leaving any room for the other universes that are floating around it, you know what I mean? So it's kind of pushing into them. But anyways, the Platoon have no idea about this because they're constantly busy, and they're constantly just focusing on creating stuff, and they don't really know what's going on. So that's why the guys with the tinfoil hats, the guys with the visions, they have to try and astral project into the Eververse and tell them, hey, guys, you realize you're kind of you're probably gonna kill everybody with all this. This place that you live in, it's gonna leak into our dimensions and it's gonna kill everybody. Can you do something to fix that? I figured that just making the Platoon like completely oblivious to this would make sense, because I thought it'd be cool if they were just as flawed or just as unaware or clumsy as people. To make them feel more human, I guess. Okay, I think that's all I gotta say. Goodbye.